Okay, welcome back. This is the fifth and last session in the series of winemaking for beginners. Today we're going to talk about and we're going to demonstrate how to do the bottle washing, how to filter wine. We're going to do some experimental bench trials on the wines to see if there's anything we can do to fix them up, to bring them up to the next level. We're going to bottle the wines. We're going to demonstrate a number of different corking systems that are out there. So give you a little bit of practice on all of those. And we're going to show you how to put those shrink capsules on top of your wine bottles. So you'll be doing that. And we'll also be doing labeling of those bottles to just dress them right up. So one of our students has created some nice fancy labels for us to use for the course. So we'll be applying those to the bottles, and I'll show you how to do that as well. And then we'll show you all the finished wines, and we'll do a bit of a wrap up at the end. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about bottle washing, because that's the first step. When you go to bottle wine, the first thing you want to do before you do anything else is wash all your bottles. So if we come over here to the sink, we've got our sink set up here. So this is really at the high end of what you would want at home for home winemaking. This is actually a commercial stainless steel sink. You can pick these up used on Facebook Marketplace. I just saw one for $150 today. I was just looking at them, but they typically go for a little bit higher than that. But if you keep your eyes open, you can find them. The next step down from this would be dual laundry tubs. They're plastic, and you can pick those up used as well. And then the next one down from that would be just a regular laundry tub, and then your kitchen sink. The problem with your kitchen sink is it's hard to attach the bottle washer to it, because the bottle washer needs a screw-on fitting, and most of the kitchen sinks are a lot fancier now, and they got the spray nozzles and everything else attached, so it makes it more difficult to do that. You can still wash them in the sink, but it's harder. You can't use a bottle washer. So I'm going to demonstrate this, and then we're going to get the students in here, and they're going to play with this as well. So these bottles have been soaked, and I've already washed most of them already. So this has been soaking in a solution of Diversol and warm water, and you want that water pretty much as warm as you can get it. And put them in here to this side. This is the bottle washer. We did talk about that before, and I'll show you what happens. So when you first turn it on, there's a potential for a little jet of water to shoot out here. Now when I'm demonstrating, it might not happen, but see that? Okay, keep your hand over it, because if you don't, it's going to squirt you either in the face or right up to your ceiling. Once it's on, then you don't have to worry about it. So you want warm water to wash. So you take the bottle, you rinse it really well. Then I put this bottle on, rinse that, and then as I'm rinsing that, I want to rinse the outside of the bottle. And then one final rinse to get it cleaned. And look at that, just on video I do everything wrong. I need the sulfite solution. So this is our 2.5% sulfite solution here. Pour a little bit of that in there. All you need is about a cup and a half. That's about all you need. And this is the bottle that we just washed. And the first time it takes a couple pumps to get it going. And that's all you need, is just one dose of that in there. And that's going to sanitize your wine bottle. And that sulfite solution, actually, we've already put some of that in the wine. So having a little bit in the bottle actually helps preserve the wine a little bit better anyway. We put it on the bottle tree, and that's the end of the process. Through the magic of video, we just washed 60 bottles of wine in record time. So now what we're going to do is we are going to get our filters for the filtering machine. We're going to get those filters ready to put into the filter machine. So what we need to do is we have to soak them in a solution of water, citric acid, and potassium metabisulfite. Potassium metabisulfite is a sterilizer. So these filter pads are brand new. You can't reuse them. These are the number 2 pads, and there's 3 of them. So this is about 2 liters of water. So into there, we're going to add some citric acid and about a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe a little bit less than a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid. And again, about another 1/4 teaspoon of potassium metabisulfite in there. This isn't really critical on exactly how much we're putting in there, because this is going to just get the filters ready to be used. And then once we put them in the machine, we're going to run some clean water through those to purge out any of the stuff that we put in there anyway. So we want to just mix that up a little bit. And we put our filters in there one at a time. And you can see them hissing there. The air is coming out of them now. Now, if you don't do this with the filters, what will happen is they're made out of cardboard, and you're going to get those cardboard aromas into your wine if you don't get your filters prepped properly. So we're going to let those sit for about 5 minutes, and we'll be back in 5 minutes, and I'll show you how to put those into the filter. It's the same process for both the big one and the small one. This one's just on a bigger scale. That's all it is. So the filters have been sitting for about 5 or 10 minutes now, and that's all that's required. So we're going to actually put them into the machine here. Take out these plates. So when you're putting the filters in, the coarse side of the filters, it's got a fine side and a coarse side. The coarse side needs to go towards the pump. And I never remember that, so I've actually wrote it right on here on a piece of paper tape. And then the holes line up with the big holes in the plates. You can see the hole is lining up.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now you do the next one. You put the next plate in. And another filter. Coarse side towards the pump. These are actually fairly delicate now, so you got to be careful. If you jam them in too much, you'll actually break them. They're pretty delicate at this point. These little tabs always line up, stay to the top, and they always line up to the back one. That way you know you're putting them in the right way. And again, coarse side towards the pump. And the last one has got some ridges on it. And those fit into here.
The ridges face the front.
Face the front. And you put that plate in. And then with this screw here, you tighten that down to put pressure on the plates. And you can see there's actually a bit of water dripping out of those pads already. If you don't tighten this up quite tight, what happens? You have to actually really tighten it up. If you don't tighten it up, you'll get a lot more wine dripping out than you want. Okay. Now all that's required is we're going to bring the wine over here, and we're going to hook it up, and we're going to start filtering it. So tonight we are going to be filtering both the red and the white wine. Now I don't normally filter my reds, but I always filter my whites.
Why don't you filter the reds?
Well, the red wines will settle naturally over time. And if you let the red wine sit, and you really do want, even with kit wines, you want to let them sit for a few months, because they age in the carboys and they mature in the bottle. So that's two different processes. So in the carboy, there's a little bit more oxygen in there, and that's where the wines age. And then when you put them in the bottle, they mature in the bottle. So we really want to give those reds a little bit of time to mature. Now, if you let them sit for 3 or 4 months before you bottle them, the red wines will naturally settle out, and through another racking or two, you're going to get it all that sediment cleared off, and it's just going to be wine in there. By the time you go to bottle, there's just going to be just maybe a skim of stuff on the bottom, but for the most part, it'll be cleared up. Your white wines will also benefit from that as well, but I like to filter my whites, because if you filter the whites, you won't have any kind of sediment in the bottles at all. So if you let those wines age for maybe 6 months to a year, after about 6 to 8 months, you're going to see a little tiny line of sediment forming even on those whites. So that's why I filter all the whites. It's just more of a presentation thing. So if you pour your whites into a glass with that little bit of sediment in there, it's going to be cloudy. If there's a little bit of cloudiness in the red, the wine hides it, so you can't see it. So that's why you don't really need to filter the reds. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to actually turn this on now. And you can see the water is coming up now and it's leaving here. We want to get the bubbles out of it. So we're going to run both the whole about 2 gallons of water, fresh water, through this to clean it up. No, that's good, Murray. Just lift the wand straight up. No, straight, vertical. Flip it. So what's happening now, the pump is actually pumping air through those filter pads and just blowing out any little bit of leftover water in there. Okay, so the pads have been rinsed now. What's going to happen when we first run the wine through there, the first little bit that comes out will actually be water. We don't want to keep that. So we're going to actually discard a little bit of that water that comes out the first, so we don't want to water our wines down. Okay, we are set up for filtering now. We've got our carboy of wine up here. We've got our filter pads all flushed out. And the first part, little bit that's going to come, you want to make sure you get all the water out of your lines before you start running wine through them. The first little bit that comes out will be a combination of wine and some water that's left over from being inside the system here. So we're going to toss that away. So I'm going to turn this on. And you're going to start seeing the wine coming out fairly soon here. When we get to a point where I start seeing the wine coming out and not water. Okay. Down to the bottom. Okay, so now we've got wine coming through. You can see the wine is actually fairly foamy. So what's happening now, that pump is actually degassing the wine for us. So it's removing all that carbon dioxide that was in there from that fermentation process. Again, if you left this sit for a couple months before you ran a filter through, all that gas would be gone and you wouldn't see it foaming like this. So this is doing two things. It's filtering that wine, it's going to make it crystal clear for us, and it's going to get rid of all that dissolved CO2 that's in that wine. So we've just finished the filtering process on the whites. And if you look here, that's what's left over. There's the sediment in there. And we have our filtered white. It's still going to be a little bit cloudy because of all the degassing that's happening in there. If we look at this in about 10 minutes after we've done the reds, you're going to see that that's going to be brilliantly clear. Any questions?
What happens if you do suck up some of the sediment? Would it just get
What'll happen,
caught in the filter?
it'll get caught in the filter, but it's going to plug your filters up. So if you had any intentions of actually doing multiple carboys, if you suck up that sediment, you're going to have to change filter pads again because it will plug them up. So you don't want to suck up any of that sediment in there. Good question though. We're just going to get ready to do the red wine here now. And the question was asked, how long should you wait before filtering? Really what you should wait until that wine has been, it's more or less clear to the visually clear. Ours was cloudy, so we had some issues with it plugging up the filter. So we ended up having to change the filter pads before we ran the red through there. So as long as it's visually clear, that's where you want to have it sit to that point. That's going to take probably from the time that you put your finding agents in, that's going to probably take about 2 to 4 weeks. And then what you want to do is you want to rack it off that sediment. As long as when you look at that and going, gee, that line looks clear now, then that's ready to rack it off the sediment. You're going to get a little bit more sediment it's going to turn cloudy again. Let that sit until it's clear again. And once it's clear again, then you can filter it. Okay. So these kit wines that they're talking about, yeah, you can drink them quicker, and make them quicker, but to get that quality wine that you're looking for, you want to wait a little bit longer. Okay, so we've got our red here, and we're just going to run the red into there to get it We get the red wine coming out of the filter now. And there we go. So the wine that's coming out now, it is going to be a little foamy, and that is the off-gassing that's happening with the filter. Okay, so what we've got now is we're going to, this is above and beyond what you would normally do in a winemaking kit, but we're going to show you how to do some bench trials. This is going to actually be really good information for you, even if you just make kits or once you start making fruit wines. So you have to be able to balance these wines out to taste before you actually bottle them. So what I've done is I have a sample of wine here. We need 50 ml samples to be able to do this with calibrated acid solution that I've made up. So that top line there is 50 mils. So we're going to have a base wine that we're going to taste. So that's what the wine tastes like right now. And then we're going to do 2 more with some small amounts of acid added to it, just to see how that changes the flavor profile of the wine. Now you may not decide that you want more acid in there, but we're going to show you what it actually tastes like anyway. And then you guys are going to be able to make a decision on your own how you want your wine to taste. So this is going to be the base wine. We're going to add in 0.5 gram of citric acid per liter equivalent to this glass. And this is going to be a whole gram of acid per liter to this one equivalent. So this is a calibrated solution. So every 1 ml of this solution is equivalent to 1 gram per liter. So for 0.5 gram, we're going to add in 0.5 ml to that first glass. And the people that are watching online, the instructions on how to make up this solution are online as well. And that's 1 into there. So we have the base with 0.5 gram and one with 1 gram. So I'm going to write on this with a non-permanent marker. Permanent marker will come off, but it's difficult. So that'll be called base. This will call 0.5, and this is 1. What I want to do is I want you to independently come up here, and we'll do this just with one person first. Hannah, do you want to be on video?
Sure.
Okay, so you come up. I just want you to smell the base one, then I want you to smell that one, and then smell that one, and just tell me what you think. Just pay attention to the aromas.
Okay.
You notice a difference between the first one and the second one?
It does start to sound like more citric and kind of fruity.
So it actually increases the aroma profile. It increases the intensity of the aroma.
Yeah, this one smells like the cleanest and the best. That
Okay.
one smells kind of more like dirty and almost stinky, if that makes sense.
Okay, so what you're describing is the acid is just what happens when you add acid to wine is it increases the vibrancy of that wine. It increases the crispness of it. If you think about soda pop, if you drink soda pop, that carbonation that's in there gives you that sparkle and that crispness, and gives you that bite of the soda. Well, acid does the same thing with wine. And if you have a wine that's low in acid, it's going to taste flabby and it's going to taste a little bit bitter. And if you have more acid to it, it's going to taste more lively. So what I'm going to do is we're going to divide these up into some glasses and I'll let you taste them. And we're going to stop recording here and then we'll come back with the results. Doing a bit of the testing here now. So you've got the base wine that we haven't done anything with, and then you've got the one that we've added 0.5 gram of acid per liter to it. So what are your comments with those? Hannah?
Yeah, kind of like Sheena said, it was just very bitter. Didn't taste, kind of like sour on my tongue.
The base one.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, what it is, it's not sour, it's actually bitter. And when you have a low acid in white wine, it is going to have a bitterness to it. Now, again, these are young, it's a very young wine. That will smooth out a little bit, but that acid that we've added in there creates a little bit more lively effect on that wine. Okay, did you find that as well, Esther and Sheena? Say? Okay, so now put down the 0.51, and I'm going to pass you the one with 1 in it. So now what we're trying to decide is, do you want to go with 0.5 gram per liter or 1 gram per liter?
I would say 0.5 gram.
Yeah, I prefer half.
Yeah, 1 gram is just a little bit too much. Make your mouth water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 is too much,
Yeah.
and 1/2 is okay, is good.
Yeah.
So normally what we would do is we would do this again and go to 0.75 of a gram. But I think what we really want in this instance is 0.5 gram. So we'll leave it at that. That's what I would recommend adding in there. I've tasted this kit before, and that's what we added in before. So 0.5 gram is the right decision. So you guys are making the right decision right now already. Okay. So what we will do now is to add 0.5 gram of citric acid into this container here. So the students have tasted and they've all agreed that they like the one with 0.5 gram per liter. So we've got about 20 liters of wine here. So to add 0.5 gram per liter of citric acid to that means we need to add 10 grams of acid to 20 liters of wine, and that will give us the same effect that they tasted in those small little samples. So we've just balanced the acid in the white wine to the students' liking. Now we're going to do the same thing with the red wine, but with the red wine, we're going to do tannin. Now, tannin is going to mask any of that residual sweetness that's in a wine, and it's going to give that wine more structure and more body as well. Now, these are finishing tannins that we're going to add in here. So those are tannins that you add at the end of fermentation, and that's where we're going to add them now. So what I've selected here is the Coeur tannin, which used to be called Tannin Plus, and it is oak. It's American oak based. So it's going to add those American oak characteristics to the wine, and it's going to give us that tannin structure. So what I've done is I've made up this solution of tannin, and this solution here, and the instructions are in the description down below for the people that are online how to do this. I put 1 gram into 460 mils of water, and that's what that is going to equate to is every mil that we add into these wines here is going to work out to be 1 gram per carboy, not liter, per carboy. Okay, so 1 gram of this is equivalent to, or 1 mil of this is equivalent to putting 1 gram of that tannin into that carboy. So I've got our glasses laid out with the base 1, 2, and 3. With 3 would be 3 grams of this tannin to the carboy. Now this tannin, its recommended dosage is anywhere between 1 to 4 grams per 23 liters. So this is why we're doing 1 to 4 here, or 1 to 3. I don't think we're going to need 4 on this. So we're going to add, first one, we're going to add a whole mil to the first glass. To the second glass, we're adding 2 mils. And the third glass, we're adding 3 mils. And what you're going to find as you go up in these from the base to 1 to 2 to 3 is you're going to notice that wine is going to have, you're going to notice that this one here does have some small bit of sweetness to it. And that's typical when you're making those kits with those skin packs. They do tend to finish off a little bit off dry for some reason. But when you start adding that tannin in there, that tannin is going to give that wine more structure, but it's also going to mask that perception of sweetness in there too. So it's going to be, the first one is going to go, geez, it doesn't have quite as much sweetness as this one. And then it's going to get to the point where you're going, oh, that might be too much tannin for me. Okay, so we're going to pause this video. We're going to get the students set up with some tasting glasses, and we'll let you know what the results are. We've just created the solutions here to simulate 1 gram per carboy, 2 grams per carboy, and 3 grams per carboy of the finishing tannin and a base wine. Go ahead and smell your base wine, and then taste it. Just a little bit of it, because we're going to do some more samples here. And then smell the one. Did you get that little bit of sweetness in there? Just a hint. Now taste the second one. Number 1. You got to talk louder,
Oh.
Esther. So,
Okay.
so the one that what Esther was saying is the base wine was sweet, and the other one's not so much sweet anymore. So what I want you to do is put down the second, the one that says 1 on it, and we're going to give you a 2. So now, what's the difference between the 2 and the 3? Are you still getting that? Well, you're going to have astringency, so don't forget that astringency is going to drop down over time. What I'm worried about right now is getting rid of that sweetness in there. So are you still, it's not sweet anymore with the 2?
Oh, yeah, makes it more complete. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's smoother to me.
Yeah.
Smoother?
Well, more well-rounded.
Okay. Okay, so let's go with 3 now. Esther was saying there's no sweetness at all with the 3 grams in there.
3's almost too much for me.
Almost too much? And how about you, Hannah?
I like them both, actually.
Yeah. So what about the sweetness level? Where did that come in?
I like the flavor of this one more, but I like how this like makes my mouth feel.
Right. So that's what happens. So you're getting into that body thing. So I think what we want to do is we're probably looking at, I think 3 is probably where we want to go with this. And what we'll do at that point is those tannins, we could go 2.5. Is that what you want to do? 2.5? Sure.
Well, you said
Okay.
you liked 2 more too,
Mhm.
so we can meet in the middle.
Okay, let's meet in the middle. Let's go 2.5. And that's a group decision. So we'll put 2.5 grams in there. And
I have a question for you.
okay.
Question is, why are you doing this, changing the tannins like at this point in the wine?
We're doing it that at this point in the time because it's really hard to do this at the you don't know what that wine is going to taste like at the beginning. So before we bottle it, this is our last chance to modify that wine for our own personal preferences. So at this point here, we're doing it here because we're going to bottle right now. That wine is going to age, and that's where the judgment call comes in a little bit. Okay. So that's why I'm recommending we go to the 2.5, because what's going to happen, those tannins are going to soften with time and they will join up and elongate, and you're going to end up with a much better, smoother wine overall than if we would have just stuck with 2.
So this is how you're taking basic kits and personalizing them
We're taking basic kits, we're raising up to a little bit higher level is what we're doing,
and winning gold.
and sometimes winning golds with them. Okay, but thank you for the question. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is, because the students have said that they want to add 2.5 grams of finishing tannin to this, we will measure this out on a scale. We're not going to record this process. We're not going to record the process of adding the citric acid to the white wine either. We'll do that, and then we're going to get into the bottling process. So through the magic of video, we'll be back in just a very short period of time, and you'll be able to see the bottling process happening. Welcome back to the magic of video. So we're all set up for the bottling station now. So we've got all our clean bottles here that have all been sulfited. So they've been cleaned and sanitized with a sulfite solution. We've got our carboy sitting up here. This is a little bit higher than what we normally would do it at, but it's, instead of trying to work off the floor, this is an easier height for demonstration purposes. This is the most primitive way of filling a bottle. Because this is a class for beginners, we're going to show you the basic method, because this is what you're probably going to use for the most part. So the first thing we need to do is get the wine flowing. So if we hold that up like that, so we got a loop like that. As soon as it starts to fill that loop, now we've got wine filling up. Now we just simply put our bottle filling wand in there. This is a brand new hose, so it's a little bit tight. Okay, so it's in there now.
Can you talk about how when you push on it?
So there is a little valve in here. You can see that valve. So when we push on that valve, wine will come out. So we push this into the bottle and wait for the wine to fill. Don't be too surprised when you have some overflows, because it's going to happen. You're going to get distracted and start talking to people. We do this with a small hose to begin with, because it's a lot more forgiving. It doesn't flow as quick. the big hose goes twice as fast. So we're going to wait till it gets to the bottom of the neck to be safe. We pull it up, and if we tilt this to the side, it's going to take that little plunger. You can see it starting to fill up slowly now. So we get about halfway up that neck, and we're going to stop right there. So that's going to leave us between, after the cork is in there, that's going to leave us about a 3/4 inch gap, which is about what you want in a wine bottle. So we take the next bottle and have that ready, and you put it in there and fill it. So this is going to get set aside, and that's going to get ready for corking. And we're going to do a few of these right now, and then we're going to talk about the corking process. We'll demonstrate the corking process, and then what we're going to do is we'll stop the video, and the students are going to bottle and cork till their little heart's content. So we have 3 methods to show you on corking. So I'll just fill 3 bottles for now. Tilt it to about a 45-degree angle, and then stop. Could I get my assistant Murray to come over with a manual corker? Sure. And he's going to demonstrate how that will work. So this is the most economical method of corking a bottle of wine, but it's also the hardest. So we're going to start demonstrating the corking process right now. There's a number of different cork styles that you can get, types of cork, and there's a number of different sizes you can get. This is what they call the short cork, and then you can get the long corks. The short ones, these are good for about 3 to 5 years of wine storage. When you get into those longer aging wines that you want to do, like the big heavy reds, then you want to use a longer cork. Now, these come in both the synthetic, they come in agglomerated, which that's what this is. It's a bunch of small little cork particles all bound up with like a silicone type glue of some sort. And then there's the real cork. Now the real cork are harder to get because the cork trees are the wine industry has gobbled up all the really good corks. So all what's left now is there's a lot of inferior cork left, and that causes some problems for the winemaker. So a lot of the high-end wines now, they're not even using corks, they're using actually a screw top on them. So we've got the short agglomerated corks.
Okay, we're going to slide it into the cylinder. Take the wine. I find it easier on the floor. Wrap it around. And this way you can push your weight on it.
Wow.
Look at that, eh?
Simple.
Do
And
you
you
have
all-
to
you all
do
get a-
anything to prepare those corks at all?
No, there's nothing to prepare. You don't want to soak corks typically. The corks go in just fine. They're designed to go in dry. And for the most part, most corking systems are designed to go in dry. So you don't have to soak them or do anything else with them. Oh, nice job there, Murray.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so the second method we're going to demonstrate is with the floor corker. And Sean's going to bring that over for us. Similar process, but this is actually takes a lot less upper body strength, and you don't have to do it on the floor.
Oh, I think Sean's gonna do it.
And
isn't
Sean,
he?
do you want to show us that one? Grab a bottle
Fun.
there.
And just make sure that it is this can the screw here you can adjust. Okay, make sure sometimes it may punch too deep or too shallow.
So if it's too deep, that means you have, if it's going in too deep, you have to move this closer to here.
Yeah.
If it's too shallow, then you move it this way and it'll go further in.
How do you measure that?
How do
Well,
you know?
it's just
Trial.
trial and error.
Now when you put the bottle under this fender here, just make sure the edge the mouse here touches it. Okay, push down and this touches.
There's a metal
Okay.
lip there.
Just make sure it touches. That will allow this thing, the cork, go right down it. Okay,
Okay.
and you don't have to be too vicious, too much, but consistent.
Now, if you don't move it all the way back,
Yeah. That's what happens.
That's what happens. so you can see that went down to the right depth. So this has been used, this cork has been used before. So that's it. Okay, so the third method that we will demonstrate. This is with a high-end pneumatic corker, and this is what you would see in more in the U-brew shops and that sort of thing. So if you want to back
You're
up,
gonna show off your new toy.
I'm going to show off the new toy here. So this one's even easier.
Oops, sorry, I moved the camera. Apologies to the viewer.
This one's even easier. You put the cork in there, you put the bottle on there, and it goes up inside. You close the door, and it's done.
Nice.
Right to the right depth. Yes, one of the students said, "Oh, that's the one we're using." You will be eventually, but you're going to get to practice with all the other two methods first, just to appreciate it. So when you are buying equipment, you're going to know which one you want to buy, and it's probably not going to be the one that Murray demonstrated. But the floor corker is actually quite reasonable. This one's fairly high end. It costs a lot of money. We're going to stop videoing now, and we're going to let the students try and do some bottling on their own. So thank you. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how to dress the bottles up now. So we're going to actually put the shrink capsules on them, and we're actually going to put some custom-made labels on it that we made, or that Sheena had made and actually won a contest in our little group here. So we're going to show you how to do those as well. But first, we're going to show you 3 different methods of shrinking these tops down. There is a 4th method where you just actually would use a special holder, and you can just dip them upside down in boiling water, and the boiling water will seal them on. We've got an old school kettle here for the first method. Be careful, the steam is very hot, and you put it on there and just sort of rotate it, and it shrinks it right down instantly.
Turn it to the side.
Okay,
Super.
so that's one way of doing it. The second way is using, this here is a heat gun that you can buy in a home hardware type store. This is like an industrial hair dryer. It gets very hot. So you don't want to put your hands in front of this or use this on your hair. So you turn that on, it gets hot really quickly. And if you look in the end, you'll see a red hot element. And you just take that,
Turn it to the side.
and use that, and it shrinks it right down as well.
That was quick.
Okay. So this is probably the method that you're probably going to go with. I don't even know what these cost. Probably around $40. You can pick them up like at Home Depot or even probably on Amazon online. So the third method is with this is a commercial home high-end version. It's got a heating element inside that's glowing red hot. These are about $500-ish to buy these. It's to do the shrink top, it's fast, it's quick. You lay your bottle on the side, you slide it in until it stops, count to 2, and pull it out, and it's done. Okay, so I'll show you that again. You slide the bottle on the side, slide it in, 1, 2, and pull it out, and it's finished. Okay, so that's the shrink top capsule portion, and we'll be back and we'll show you how to do labeling next. Okay, so we have all the shrink tops are on the wine bottles now, using those 3 different methods. And there's some more reds over there, but we're going to have 2 stations set up here. So we've created, Sheena has created a custom label for us. So this is just using standard 8.5 by 11 photocopy paper. And that's her design right there. So it works out if you put 6 to a page, that's kind of a good size format to be working with when you're making labels. There's a number of different ways to cutting out, but the cheapest is just with an X-Acto blade and a metal ruler. And all you're going to do is you cut down the one edge there. Cut that off. Take the bottom off. I'm going pretty quick here. I'm not going to demonstrate the whole process, but you get the idea. You cut them out. And one more cut. We've got one label done. That's it. And there we go. One label. Okay, so now these don't have any sticking backing. This is standard 8.5 by 11 photocopy paper. Nothing fancy about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue these on to the bottles. The glue that you want to use now, you can either use something like craft stick, like a craft stick, or this Elmer's Extreme. That works. Either one of these works really well. And the stuff that you can give that they sell for kids, to like younger kids to take to school, that they can glue stuff together with, that stuff is almost edible. I'm pretty sure it's designed, it's edible. Won't hurt them even if they eat the stuff. That stuff doesn't stick very good, but this stuff does. So either one will work. So you just twist it out. And all you're going to do is take your glue stick and run a line along the edge on all 4 edges. And then a little X down the middle. And that's it. And you take that, you pick up your bottle. You don't want to put it on the edge. You want to put it on the flat part of the bottle, centered in the middle. Smooth it out. And there we go. One professional looking bottle.
Excellent.
Okay, so this completes our winemaking course for beginners. We've taken you through the winemaking process right from the beginning to the end, including dressing up your bottles. So if you have liked and enjoyed this course, please subscribe to our channels, because we have a bunch more ideas for videos to come that are going to be geared more to the intermediate and advanced winemaking. There'll be some seminars and maybe even some interviews with winemakers that we put on there. So subscribe to our channel and please like it. It helps our channel to grow, and thank you for joining us.